Hi, Dr. LaQuista here. Just finished my presentation on um, serving diverse military women. And it's interesting that I had this presentation today. As you know, I am a veteran. If you don't know, I'm a veteran. 22 years in the military. Um, Most of that is reserve time, Army reserves, but I deployed to Iraq 2 times and I did one AGR tour, which is active guard reserve. Um, so I'm like I'm an old head when it comes to this veteran thing, but um, it's interesting. I was listening to, it was either a podcast or something on the radio yesterday, and they were talking you know what, actually it was Heather B on Heather B Live on SiriusXM Urban View. I absolutely love her show, but it's interesting that I was listening yesterday and they were talking about how the military is a viable option for um, for Black and brown kids, and how we don't necessarily look at it that way. And a lot of things that came up was like mistrust with the government and not knowing, misconceptions about the military. And I, wholeheartedly agree. For me, and I mentioned this like in my presentation, and had this episode had aired before, I probably would have included a clip. But for me, I was 17 years old. Never considered the military. My mom had served when she was younger, and when I was a baby. So she had me, she joined the Army Reserves. And so I pretty much grew up with like my grandmother and my aunts and uncles. My mom was the oldest, and so I grew up in the home with them. So I'm like their baby sister, even though I'm like their niece, so I'm the oldest grandchild. So I was really close with my grandmother. Growing up, she always kind of took care of me when my mom had to go for like her military training, military duty. It just wasn't an option for me, at least I thought. But like I was saying, I'm from a really small town, Social Circle, Georgia. Um, if you never heard of it, it's really small, like one of those Smallville USA towns where everybody knows everybody, one red light. We didn't even have a McDonald's in our town. I think eventually we got like a Burger King, and that was like a big deal. But I knew I wanted to see more than just what was surrounding me. And I'm not saying that to say that anything is wrong with being in a small community. Like, it definitely has its pros and cons. But for me, again, the military didn't seem like a viable option to me. I was fairly smart and bright in high school. I graduated with honors. I just knew I was going to get a scholarship and, be able to go where I wanted to go. And at the time we had like the Hope Scholarship, so you could go to any public school in the state for free. But I wanted to go to like Spelman, which is a private school, which it pays like a portion of that. So Spelman was like one of my top choices. And then I wanted to go to Clemson. How I came to fall in love with Clemson, I do not know. I just remember like my dad taking me on my college tour in South Carolina, and it was probably, so it's weird because Clemson is like in a very small town, but if you've ever like been in a college town, like just going there and experiencing that, it was just, I fell in love. And yeah, we had UGA, University of Georgia, and Athens, kind of the same thing, but Clemson was like a different level. and I just wanted to go there. And I had gotten a partial scholarship, and my parents couldn't really afford to send me to college. Like, my mom was a single mom. She wasn't working. She had struggled. We grew up in the project, so no shame in all of that. But, as a Black female, child, I did not want to put that burden on my parents. Like, my job was to go to school, get good grades, and go off, make it in the world, and come back and take care of my family. I think nobody tells you that as like a minority or like a Black or brown kid, but when you see your parents kind of struggling, you want to be able to provide for your family and do these things and go on to and do amazing things. So I remember the recruiters would always be at the high school, and I would be low-key, like, rude, like, didn't speak, like, no, I'm never joining. But the thought had entered my mind, okay, this could be my ticket out, because they got me with that college money, because that's how they get you. Sign up, you can get $20,000. And back then, when I was in high school, many years ago, $20,000 was a lot of money. And so I talked to this recruiter. I'm 17, didn't know. And he had convinced me. I was like, okay, sign me up. He was like, you got to get your parents to sign because you're not 18. And I was like, oh, gosh, I got to ask my mom. But surprisingly, my mom was on board. She had never really considered that I would go into the military because I never talked about it. So I signed up at 17. Delayed entry, and so a week after my graduation, I was supposed to go to boot camp. I signed my contract, gonna get my money for college, I'm gonna get a check every month, and yeah, things didn't happen quite that way. So I went to boot camp and decided, I would do boot camp and then I would start Clemson like the following semester, so I would be a semester behind. So that did happen. But yeah, I was a broke college student, like broke, in South Carolina, not too far from home, about 2.5, 3 hours, really lonely, depressed. I made some really awesome friends while there, but didn't really feel connected. So I ended up coming home, and I could have just stayed in Georgia and got my free scholarship and not sign up for the military. But, I always say the military is one of the best decisions I made. I wouldn't change it for the world. And in a lot of ways, it's one of the worst decisions I've ever made, just because some of the things I've gone through. But I think all of that kind of shapes who I am. And I wouldn't be here where I am today without the military. So if you don't know, after my deployments, I kind of struggled with PTSD, lost a lot of battle buddies to suicide and other mental health issues. And so I decided to go back to school and get my master's in social work and become a therapist because I wanted to help someone like someone helped me. And I knew it was easier to talk to someone who understood. And so in a lot of ways, the military, kind of got me to where I am. And I enjoy working with military veterans, military families, spouses. But I enjoy working with trauma in general. I'm a helper. That's what I do. But going back to the military being a viable option. So in some ways, I don't like when people say, you're either going to go to college or you're going to go to the military. You're going to do something. Or, a lot of people kind of disparage, what the military is. And, the military is a last resort, if you don't have any options. And I can see that. I get that, especially if you don't know. And for a lot of minority BIPOC people like myself, it is an opportunity to kind of get away. But I'm gonna tell you, like, the military is not exempt from what is going on in the world. It is just the military is a smaller community, a smaller representation of America, and how America is, right? Especially now. What is the climate of America right now? And so as like, BIPOC leaders, me going, I was enlisted, but always being like the only female leader. Mm-mm. The only female leader in my units for the most part. It was okay. I'm recording something, baby. Can you go? Recording? Nope. Can you go downstairs? Whew. Sorry about that. My son walked in and the video went out and he was trying to grab stuff. So I apologize, but I will do some creative editing. So hopefully the disruption will be minimal. But as I was saying, as like a Black woman, especially like as a leader, as a non-commissioned officer, I often found myself in spaces where I was the only one or one of few. And it wasn't always like that. And, the unit I began my military career, it was mostly people who looked like me. But we were a family. Like, we were really, really tight-knit. I thought everybody looked like that and every unit was like that. We were literally like a family. Like, we had, as family, like, you fuss and fight, you love each other, you have each other's back. And maybe because we had deployed together, maybe that kind of brought us closer. But I remember making a decision to move to Minnesota, of all places, to get a promotion. I wasn't advancing like in my unit, and my civilian job was directly tied to my military job, and so I moved to Minnesota. Yeah. And when I got to Minnesota, I'll never forget, first time, so I took a civilian job in my military unit, and the first drill or battle assembly, I noticed a lot of females kind of flocking to me, and they were like junior enlisted soldiers, mainly Black soldiers. Like, the few that they had, it wasn't a lot, but they were it was like they had never seen like too many Black NCOs who were like above like E6. I think at the time I was an E6 staff sergeant. And they just kind of latched on and kind of, I was appointed like their mentor, like in their mind. Like, they saw, okay, this is someone who I could get advice from. And, I gladly accept that role. Okay, where was I? Yeah, the joys of motherhood, being a single mom, trying to work from home and actually do something when you have like a little one. And like, my kids, one is 15 and one is 4, and so they fight like cats and dogs. So sorry guys, but I'm trying to remember what I was saying. Yeah, so I always kind of looked out for other minority Black women, veterans, especially junior enlisted, to provide that leadership and guidance that I was seeking, and that I had like some amazing mentors in the military, women, before, some horrible ones, but I would say more great ones. And I knew that I wanted to be that to some of these younger kids that were kind of coming in and kind of newer. And yeah, so getting back to like the conversation, I know it feels like I'm like all over the place, like my child just kind of just disrupted everything. Whatever the reason is that brings you into the military, you know, that's your reason. And yes, it is a viable option, but it's not our only option. You know, I did not know, you know, about like going to college first, getting commission or ROTC, coming in as an officer. You know, I was just happy I could go I could go to basic and AIT and graduate and be like an E3. I thought I was doing it. Um, so it's all about educating yourself, knowing what is out there, um, know and reading your contract. It is like a legit loan document, and so just know what you're signing, and you know, asking your recruiter like questions, talking to other people. So I'm always happy to talk to people in my family or, you know, people in my community who reach out and want to know about my experience. You know, everybody's experience is different. But I met like some of the most amazing people in the military. Two of my best friends are in the military, but we have like a bond. So every person who I've really been connected to through the military, we have like a special bond. It's hard to explain if you're not in the community, but you can see them once in 5 years, and when you see them again, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy to see it's just that bond. Like when you go to war with somebody, like literally and figuratively, it matters. Like that, like you can't even describe it. Um, but it is hard being a Black woman in the military, especially in leadership role. Like I said, you're looking at me and look at my hair. Like I have sister locks, I have color. This is a no-no. Like they would tell me my hair is not professional and unkempt. You know, the policies have changed some, but it's still people who look down upon that. And, you know, even if I can kind of pull it back, you know, in a bun and, you know, clip it or whatever, but why I gotta do that? Why? You know? But, you know, now that I'm out, I can, you know, wear my hair how I want to wear it. You know, I definitely respect like regulations and policies or whatever, even the ones that I don't think are so fair. Because I know what I signed up for. But I'm just happy to be in this phase of my life where like I'm just waiting on my retirement orders, and you know, I can, you know, draw from my experience from the military. Like I said, it has been a gift in my life. But just happy to be able to serve and share my knowledge with those who are coming in. And so one of the proudest moments, I would say, is my sister, who, like me, well, like I started out saying I never thought I would join the military. Now, my sister, my middle sister, never would have thought she would join like the military. Like she's sassy, like very feminine. Not saying that you can't be feminine like in the military. It's a lot of beautiful women in the military. Like I said, one of my best friends, like she was a drill sergeant, and she looks like a model. So it's just my sister. Like I never imagined her being in the military, and she's actually active duty, and you know it's a career, like it's a lifestyle. But I'm so proud of her and like how far she's come, and just seeing like the opportunities that that the military has offered her. But a lot of that, she's an amazing woman. So the military didn't make her. It just enhanced like who she was and who she is and who she can be. So I'm super proud of her. I don't know if she's gonna stay in the 20 years. So I joke with her now that, girl, you just getting started, but I'm out. So I love giving her advice, and just I never talk. I tell her the real, but I definitely want her to make her own decisions, and I tell her stuff that I wish people told me. Like, I absolutely think if she decides to stay in, that she should become an officer, possibly a nurse. I think she would be great for that. She works in the medical field, like her MOS is medical, so I think she would be excellent in that. But yeah, it isn't just something you do because you have nothing else to do. Like, so many brilliant people in the military, people out here crushing their goals, like it's an opportunity, but just know it's not easy. It is not easy. When you join the military, yeah, a lot of things you kind of give up. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Like, you you're part of a much bigger mission, and it's great to be able to kind of serve your country and be able to provide for your family, but there's a cost associated with everything, so a risk and a cost. So I just wanted to say that it was just on my mind, like Heather B was talking about it, and Heather B said that when she was in school, she knew she wanted to be a rapper, and she just always saw like the Army and the Marine recruiters in their fatigues at the school, and she wasn't trying to mess with them at all. And I get that because I felt the same way. But yeah, it's hard to describe if you're not a part of that community or lifestyle, but it doesn't have to be a last resort. Like, it can be your first choice if you want. Like, you can be smart and go to the military. I graduated with honors. I went into the military directly after college. Like I said, had I known like what other opportunities, I may have made a different decision. But I think, my decision, it brought me full circle to where I am today. And guess what? I'm still a doctor. So it worked out. Yeah, so wanted to say that it was a great presentation today. So happy that I was able to kind of share some of this stuff with a group of amazing like clinicians and chaplains and other providers who support military women and veterans. And yeah, I will hopefully be able to check in with you all soon. Again, I apologize for my child being a child and coming in and disrupting the video. I'm going to try to edit it out. But if not, you know what it is. And please forgive me. Love you guys.